Hi everyone, welcome to English for You. We're on day 2 of our article on learning from the death of a whale. And that whale is Tilikum, who was very famous because he was captured off the coast of Iceland when he was a little baby. And what happened to him?
Well, he was sent to Canada, to a place called Sealand, I believe, and there he was involved in an incident where he killed somebody, one of the trainers at the zoo.
Yep.
Then he was moved, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was moved to SeaWorld, and there he killed 2 more people, one trainer and one guest who had gotten into the park.
That's right.
Yeah.
And maybe it would be easy to blame the whale, but actually I think we should...
He's an animal.
Yes, he's a wild animal who should be left in the wild. It's our fault for bringing him into captivity.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, and you know, that was his life story, and he died from illness in 2017 because he had a poor diet and his tank was too small and he had all these health issues. Probably, you know, was not a happy life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's another interesting thing. There was actually a documentary, which is like a kind of information movie about him made a couple of years ago called Blackfish.
Okay.
It talked about kind of where he came from and what did he do, why did he kill the people, and there was some other things about other whales too. So I think it's worth watching.
I imagine it might be difficult to watch, but it's important.
Yeah, exactly. It's very serious, very sad. All right, so we have more to talk about when we're talking about orcas in captivity because Tilikum is not the only one. There's a lot more. Yeah.
Let's get into our article.
Reading. Learning from the death of a whale. There are about 60 orcas kept in captivity around the world. Some of them include the 21 children fathered by Tilikum, and they were sold to different aquariums. Many people say that captive whales are important for education and research. However, there is very little that we can learn about them in such environments. Whales behave much differently in captivity, therefore we can't learn about their habits in the ocean. Some say that millions of visitors learn about whales at aquariums, but research shows that audiences don't feel encouraged to learn about the whales after they leave the aquarium. The bottom line is that orcas suffer in captivity. However, many can't be released into the ocean because they don't know how to hunt for food. Some experts suggest building large ocean aquariums near coasts. The whales would have more space to swim in. In addition, they could still be cared for by humans. The important thing is that people are now paying more attention to the health of captive whales.
All right, our article starts out today by talking about not just Tilikum, but the state of what's happening with other orcas in the world. There are about 60 orcas kept in captivity around the world. So we talked about this a little bit in day 1, the word captivity. It means the state of being captured. It means you are kept somewhere that, you know, it's not really your natural home. It's not in the wild. So like at a farm or in a zoo or in an aquarium, that's captivity. Yeah.
60 is a lot.
It is a lot, yeah. And it seems like it's more than it should be. Like it's very hard to care for even one orca.
Yeah.
Why would you want to burden yourself with more than that and burden them?
Well, we can find out in the article about some of these orca. So the article continues by saying some of them include the 21 children fathered by Tilikum, and they were sold to different aquariums.
Yeah, so he was kind of forced to breed with other females as well. They couldn't just leave him alone. They were like, "You're a strong whale. You got to have a lot of babies."
Yeah, 21.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, and some of them have died. Some of them are still alive. Yeah. So we have this vocabulary word include.
Yeah, include. Include is a verb, and if one thing includes another thing, the second thing is part of the first thing. In the article, it is saying that some of the 60 orcas kept in captivity are the children of Tilikum. It includes the children. An example sentence using include could be, this meal includes a burger, some fries, and a drink.
Makes me thirsty.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, same. All right, so let's go on with the article. We're saying there are 60 orca whales in captivity, that 21 are from Tilikum. That means, what is it?
39.
39? Yes, 39 are from the wild, probably. All right, so many people say that captive whales are important for education and research. I'm betting that the people who are saying that are the people who are in charge of taking care of captive whales.
And maybe making money from them too.
Yeah, probably. All right, but we are going to talk about what does education and research mean, because we want to know why are they saying it's a good thing. All right, education is a noun that talks about teaching people things, learning things, knowing more about the world. The more you do this, the more education you get. So, for example, your teacher in your classroom educates you about lots of different things. There are different kinds of education, like physical education, which is PE, elementary education, which means when you're in grade 1 to 6, you are in elementary education. Now, continuing education might be something you do when you're an adult and you already have a job. If you want to learn more about a certain subject, you'll do continuing education. When you say somebody's getting an education, it means they're going all the way through school, they're going to finish university probably, and they're going to go into the world with a full 12 to 16 years of school. All right, now people say whales are important for education because they mean people are learning something from seeing them in captivity. Now, an example sentence for education might be, I decided to get an education in music because I want to become a professional singer. So now we know what education is, when you're getting taught something. But research is another word that's kind of related to this, but it's a little bit different. If you study things in the world and you do tests to find out more about them, that's research. So if you are maybe writing a paper on something that you're learning about by yourself, or you're looking at things on Wikipedia is not the best source, but it's one source. Research is self-learning. You are learning by guiding yourself how to find out more about this thing, while education is more like learning from other people.
Right, so a scientist, for example, might go into the wild, find some orca living in the wild, and study them and look at how they live. That would be research, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, the article continues here and it says, however, there is very little that we can learn about them in such environments, with them being the orca.
Yeah, and in such environments being captivity.
Yes.
Because, yeah, I mean, if you were stuck in a tiny room all of your life, you would not be considered a normal human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, a normal orca should be in the wild.
Yeah, and so if the scientists want to learn about the true, real behaviors and habits of these whales, they should go to the wild and study them, not capture them. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, so it's time for another grammar point, and we're talking transitions and adverbs. We probably know what adverbs are, but let's talk about transitions quickly. A transition is a way of moving from one thing to another. So we're going to talk about 3 things that transitions and adverbs can do. They can express cause and effect, they can express contrast, and they can express addition. Don't worry, I'll explain more. So words like as a result, therefore, and thus are used to express cause and effect. That means A happened and then B happened because of A. For example, I was late to work, therefore my boss was angry. Words like on the other hand, however, and nevertheless can express contrast. That means a difference. Something is different from or contrasts the thing we talked about before. We can use the sentence in the article as an example. Many people say that captive whales are important for education and research. However, this is the different part, there is very little that we can learn about them in such environments. Finally, the words like moreover, furthermore, and besides can express addition. That means giving extra or more information, adding something. So, for example, the school party is cancelled due to the typhoon. Furthermore, the school will be closed for the next 2 days as a safety precaution. So that's extra information.
All right, so now we know a little more about transitions. Now we've seen, however, that you can't really learn much from whales in captivity.
Yeah.
So whales behave much differently in captivity. Also, their health is probably different and their calls are probably different, all sorts of things. Therefore, we can't learn about their habits in the ocean. Of course not, because they're not in the ocean. Now, when we talk about this word behave, this is a verb to describe how you act, what you do, and the way you react to things. That's how you behave. For example, how do humans behave when we are scared? Or maybe we go hide. How do we behave when we're happy? Maybe we dance a little. Maybe we, make jokes, something like that. How do dogs behave when they're scared?
Their ears go down
and if they're really scared, they'll growl at you and bite you. And when they're happy, their tails wag and they get all excited. So dogs and humans have different behaviors for the same kind of feeling. Whales also have these, but they behave differently if they're in a tank or if they're in the ocean. So sometimes behave can mean something different too. If you tell somebody to behave, it means you have to act well and be polite. If your mom tells you, please behave while I'm gone, it means don't cause trouble, Reese.
I might do.
Reese is a troublemaker. He is badly behaved. Now, here's a noun which is behavior. Your behavior is how you behave. Now, here's an example sentence for behave. The little boy is only 10 years old, but he likes to behave like an adult sometimes. So he probably walks around with his chest out and says, "Hello, mother." Something like that.
That's a strange way for a 10-year-old to behave.
For sure.
We had another word as well, which was habit.
Yeah. All right, let's go learn about that.
So the word habit is a noun, and a habit is something that many of us have. A habit is a type of behavior, which is the word that Kat talked about. Something that we do. But a habit is specifically something we do a lot of the time, over and over again. Some habits are good, like brushing your teeth or keeping your keys in the same place so you don't lose them. But some habits are bad, like smoking cigarettes or biting your nails. Animals have habits too, and these are the regular behaviors that we expect wild animals to do. To really study an animal's habits, the scientists need to see them in their natural environment. So studying the orcas in captivity is not a good way of checking on their habits. So an example sentence using habit could be, my mum has a good habit of checking that every window is locked before we leave the house. Okay, habits.
Yes.
I try to keep good habits and get rid of bad ones.
Like picking your nose?
Maybe don't do that.
Oh, you don't pick your nose, or you don't get rid of picking your nose?
I'll let you decide.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
The article continues by saying, some say that millions of visitors learn about whales at aquariums. Okay.
Are there really millions of visitors? But okay, I guess there probably must be.
Yeah.
But research shows that audiences don't feel encouraged to learn about the whales after they leave the aquarium. Yeah, because the whales there, they kind of are just there.
Yeah.
So the ones in the ocean are not really talked about very much.
Right, so the things that they're learning are about whales in captivity, which is not terribly useful. I would be more interested to learn about what whales do in the wild.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the article continues and it says, the bottom line is that orcas suffer in captivity.
Yes.
Yeah. So the article used a very interesting phrase here. It said, the bottom line. This is our pocket phrase go for today, and let's take a break to find out what it means.
Pocket phrase go!
最近呢，有件事情呢，真是让我心烦意乱哦。话嘛连欧巴连韩剧都看不下去，整天想着他。哎呀，原来就是超市几点送的这个赠品啊。我到底要换锅子还是要换盘子嘞？我真是纠结到不行啊。结果橘子就跟我说，妈 ，the bottom line is whether you need more plates or not？ 说的真好哦，最重要的是有没有需要更多盘子啊？家里面呢已经很多了，那呢我就义无反顾的换锅子啦。The bottom line 这个片语呢，你可以把它想成是最底下哦，也就是最根本的。所以呢，英文里面这句片语呢，就有最根本的问题、最重要的原则这样子的意思了。比方说，像我在难以抉择的时候呢，就要想一想最在意、最重要的是什么，或是呢，像在你营运一家公司哦 ，The bottom line is that we need more sales to keep everything running。最重要的是呢，是我们呢需要更多的销售来保持公司大小事的运作了。The bottom line 最根本的问题。
Okay, so when somebody says the bottom line, what they really mean is that this is the most important fact or piece of information.
Got it.
They are highlighting that to the listener as the most important thing,
All
the
right.
bottom line.
All right, well, the bottom line is that we have to keep going with the article. That's our bottom line
That's
right
important.
now. All right, so we keep going and it says, however, there's another transition. However, many orcas can't be released into the ocean because they don't know how to hunt for food. Yeah, that's true. If an animal is born in a zoo or born in an aquarium, they usually don't learn their wild behaviors, and so they won't know how to survive if they are in the wild.
Yeah, it's kind of the same like if you have a pet cat from the time it was a kitten, that cat probably won't survive very long if you release it into onto the streets without any kind of care, because it doesn't know how to survive.
Yeah, unless you specifically taught it. I mean, that's different, but I think most people don't. They mostly spoil their kitties.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the article continues here and it says, some experts suggest building large ocean aquariums near coasts.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be pretty big because orcas like a lot of space. It could be a good alternative to these small, cramped zoos that they're in right now.
Yeah. So what do they mean by suggest?
Suggest, well, suggest is a verb and it means to give your idea about what should be done. If you suggest something, it means you think that that thing is the right and best thing to do. The noun form of suggest is suggestion, and the thing that you suggest to somebody is your suggestion. So an example sentence using suggest could be, nobody could decide where to eat for lunch, so I suggested the food court as there are many different restaurants there.
I think that is a good suggestion.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if you want to give somebody a strong suggestion, you could say they're giving a recommendation.
Yes.
I recommend you read our magazine.
Yeah,
I suggest you read our magazine.
Very good magazine.
Yes. All right. Now the article goes on. So the whales have more space to swim in. Yeah, if you had a large ocean aquarium, like it's open to the ocean, the whales would have more space to swim.
Yeah, and it's also more like their natural habitat, although not totally.
Yeah.
The article then says, in addition, they could still be cared for by humans.
Right. So if there's orcas or other animals that can't survive in the wild, but they need like a more wild environment, that would be a good compromise.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Meeting in the middle.
All right. Now the article says the important thing is that people are now paying more attention to the health of captive whales. Yeah, so like that blackfish documentary I mentioned and other things like, you know, people just care more about the earth now, and so they're paying attention to what happens to different animals.
Yeah, over the last few years I've been hearing a lot more news about SeaWorld and whether it's good or bad that we keep whales in this way.
Yeah. All right, so we have this last word, attention. Attention is a noun that, well, we usually put it in a phrase. Pay attention to something or pay attention to somebody. When you pay attention, it means you put your mind on it and you really try to hear it, see it, understand it clearly. Like you're in class, dreaming about things, daydreaming about what you will do on Saturday, and your teacher says, pay attention! It means you must look at and listen to the teacher. So somebody who pays attention is attentive. If you are an attentive person, it means you are paying attention and your mind is always on. It's like paying attention to the health of whales means asking questions about them, thinking about it more, reading news about it more, and thinking before you decide to go see a whale show. All right, now an example sentence might be, Kelsey gave Ruben her full attention while he played a song for her. Probably he said, hey, listen to my new song. And she was like, okay.
Yeah, it's very polite to give your attention to somebody that is talking to you or doing something for you. Right? It's kind of rude, especially as I've been a teacher before. If children in my class are not paying attention, I feel that's kind of rude.
It is a little rude, especially I think it's worse if you're trying to talk to somebody and they're on their phone.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a really bad habit. Yeah. It's something I used to do. I'm trying to not do so much now. Yeah.
If you're paying attention to your phone more than me, that means your phone is more important than me.
Yeah, so keep that in mind when you're talking to people.
Yeah.
Be polite. Now, I think that's all we've got time for, but you've heard, what's going on with orcas in captivity and what could possibly be some ways to help. Yeah, so now I hope that you've learned something and you're paying attention to what orcas are going through. And that means for us, it's time to go to our For You chat.
For You chat.
Okay, so our For You chat question of the day. Kat, what is your opinion of keeping animals in captivity? Do you think it is ever okay to put animals in aquariums or zoos?
I think it depends on the animal and it depends on the place. Because there are animals that can do really, really well in captivity. And you can learn a lot about them and they can actually be very helpful to their species. There are other animals that do not do well in captivity. I think dolphins actually are pretty good in captivity and orcas are not because they have different sizes and different requirements and all that sort of thing. And I think dolphins do well when they have their brains exercised, which people can do. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that all captivity is bad, but I think if you don't need to do it and if it's not useful, then maybe not.
Yeah, I feel the same. It's a question I struggle with actually, because I really do enjoy
seeing animals.
They're so cute and there's such variety. And so I've been to zoos and I've enjoyed looking at interesting animals that I wouldn't get to see otherwise. But then I think about how these animals must feel or experience their lives in these zoos, and it's not always good because sometimes their living space is just too small. But like Kat said, sometimes it can save a species. So for example, there are many pandas today in captivity because otherwise they would probably go extinct. They're not very good at surviving on their own, so we kind of have to help them.
They're kind of dumb.
They're kind of dumb.
They're really cute, but they're kind of dumb.
Yeah, but every animal is worth saving, and so sometimes it can be useful. When thinking about what you can do to help, if you want to go to a zoo or somewhere that has animals, do some research first and make sure that it's a reputable zoo, a place that has a good reputation.
And also that they're contributing to conservation, which is helping the animals that they have that are in the wild. Yeah. So not just helping the animals in their zoo, but also helping wild animals too.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have time for today. Please think about these questions and how we look after animals. And from Reese
and Kat,
we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Learning from the death of a whale. There are about 60 orcas kept in captivity around the world. Some of them include the 21 children fathered by Tilikum, and they were sold to different aquariums. Many people say that captive whales are important for education and research. However, there is very little that we can learn about them in such environments. Whales behave much differently in captivity, therefore we can't learn about their habits in the ocean. Some say that millions of visitors learn about whales at aquariums, but research shows that audiences don't feel encouraged to learn about the whales after they leave the aquarium. The bottom line is that orcas suffer in captivity. However, many can't be released into the ocean because they don't know how to hunt for food. Some experts suggest building large ocean aquariums near coasts. The whales would have more space to swim in. In addition, they could still be cared for by humans. The important thing is that people are now paying more attention to the health of captive whales.
Vocabulary Review.
Include. Most shopping centers include a movie theater and some restaurants. Education. Ellen went to college to get an education in business studies. Behave. Kevin yelled while eating at the restaurant, and his mother told him not to behave that way. Habit. Taking a shower before bedtime is a regular habit for many people. Suggest. I would suggest that you put up a fence if you don't want animals coming into your yard. Attention. The government is finally giving some attention to the homeless people living near the train station.
智慧小补帖
Captivity. Research.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net